Hello, this is Arnel Tanyag with Tanyag Company. We're going over part 3 of the 7 skills that you need to improve your networking, go from amateur to professional. So one of the things over the last 20 some years, I've learned different skills in networking, and it's pretty interesting when you've been doing networking for a while. I believe you have to build a network. And so one of the skills that I want to talk about today is number 1 is Know the Communication Pyramid by Michael J. Maher. Michael J. Maher is the author, trainer, speaker of 7L, 7 levels of communication, go from relationships to referrals. I've been following him, doing a lot of his program for the many years of a certified referral trainer. He's got the best system that I believe to generate in referrals, especially in the real estate industry. He generated over 500 plus referrals a year when he had a team, and he has a very good program and a very good system that really works. I followed it because I'm a system and process guy. I'd rather find people who have very successful process systems and tailor it to me. So one of the things when I talk about networking, you really have to understand what we call the communication pyramid. And Michael's been doing it for a very long time. So if you look at the pyramid, I've attached a communication pyramid. And if you look at it, there's 3 types of levels. There's the informational zone with the bottom level, and that includes traditional advertising. And this is from the Keller Center Research article. It has direct mail. This involves sending physical mail to clients, electronic mail, emails, texts, messages, and social interactions. And then, it's interesting about the informational zone. That's the bottom part. And, it's interesting. It's designed to inform, not influence. Now, people will say, well, I talk to people on text messaging. Well, it's because you have a relationship. But if you really do look at especially email, if you look at texting and social media, that's really designed to get your attention, right? Direct mail does have its valid. I mean, I've seen in certain situations in marketing where direct mail does work really well, especially if you're going to a rural area and, people still in those rural areas, they'll pick up mail, so it depends on the demographics and areas. And advertising still does work. I mean, I know a gentleman who actually was a radio and TV salesperson. He said, Arnel, when you're on TV and radio, it does create some type of, perspective that you are very successful. People do call you. I mean, there are, it's a channel, but in this context, we know it's informational zone. So you have to look at the bottom 3, and that tells you that that's designed to inform people on what things have to do. And the cool thing about that, I tell people is that with that, you can really understand that, hey, I'm informing people. So how does that work? You can send emails out to people, and depending if they have that need for their service, they'll call you. But a lot of times it's informing them. It's like marketing them. I'm marketing and informing what's really going on. Now, the other part, if you look at the influential zone, that's the top 3 levels. That's phone calls, personalized phone calls with clients, event seminars, inviting them to events you host or other events or seminars you want to interact with people, or one-to-one meetings. That's face-to-face interactions where you build strong relationships. And the beauty of that, it's where you're building one-to-one time. Now, the communication pyramid in the middle, it has what they call the note cards. The communication pyramid really is solely designed to strengthen relationships and increase impact. It gives you a guide on how to inform and influence people. Because the ultimate goal, what you want to do is you want to take this communication pyramid, and create a plan based on developing relationships into either raving fans or advocates. I'm going to explain that a little bit more. And it helps you decide how do you communicate with them. Michael Maher's communication plan suggests a way of moving people up from interpersonal communications like advertising, social media, and direct mail, and move them into the influential zone where you can influence them either to become a client or a referral source or both, or create great word of mouth. The beauty of this, it's developing these relationships, cultivating them, and driving referrals to you. Now, 7 levels of communication, the top one, which is one-to-one, that's a prominent way of influencing people. There's 2 sides of the coin of that. Number 1, some people don't like to do one-to-ones with you because it can be very intimidating in a sense that it actually means that Some people don't want to have that one-on-one time, and some people do. Like I have some of my best relationships. We meet once a month, or one-to-one, at least once a month or once a quarter, talking about helping each other. The next one is the events and seminars. Like, Michael Mayer's system is a lot on events, how to use events to generate referrals, and so events are really good, especially if you host events or you take people to events. Like I take people to events that are beneficial for them. It's a great way to connect and meet people, and I host mine. And the other one is phone call. That's where you actually call people and talk to them on the phone. Now, the other thing I like about phone calls, I've used this app called Slide Dial app, Slide Dial Broadcast or Slide Dial app, where I actually call people, goes right to the voicemail. They can hear my voice. That does influence people because it actually gets people. It's different when you send an email, then you send a voicemail about your voice. It changes people's feeling and it influences them. And in between the influential zone and information zone, we call it handwritten notes. Now, handwritten notes is a phenomenal communication tool. Not many people do it, and the people who do it consistently get great results from it. I write anywhere from 5 to 10 handwritten notes to people, and I follow the system that Michael Maher uses. It's called the Power Notes. It's phenomenal. It gets me to stand out, and it really helps build relationships. The electronic communication, the informational zone, direct mail, that's some people use direct mail. It does work. I mean, I've seen it work for people. Advertising, radio, TV, and then, electronic, text messaging, social media, email, those work too. So how do you apply this skill? Well, when and it's interesting, I go to networking events and I see people doing two things, looking for clients or figuring out ways to develop mutual benefit relationships. So if you're looking for clients, that's a one-way strategy because you're just going from one event to the other event looking for business. If you're looking to develop advocates or ambassadors or raving fans, then you have to understand the communication period, and you have to learn the skill how to develop communication to develop those type of relationships. And so Michael Maher has developed a communication period that if you understand it, you can move people up to become a ambassador. An ambassador is somebody who literally is going to give you a referral if somebody asks, or at least they ask about you. They're going to talk highly about you. They're loyal. They're not as proactive. Things have to come to them, or you have to brainstorm with him to introduce you to people and like or events or activities you're going to. The raving fan is somebody who's always looking for opportunities. Like I have a raving fan that always puts me in front of people, invites me to workshops, talks to people. I should do speaking events, introducing me to people left and right, probably introduce them to 2 or 3 people a month. She's just phenomenal at that. She's a great connector. So when you understand the communication plan is, communication plan, part of the communication pyramid, your goal and objective is to develop those relationships into raving fans or advocates. And the communication pyramid allows you to understand how to move people up. Because eventually, if you are developing people in raving fans or I call ambassadors, what you're doing is, number one, they're very loyal to you and you're communicating them in the influential zone. What's the influential zone? We said it is one-to-one meetings, events and seminars, phone calls, right? And you're showing appreciation like handwritten notes. You're moving them up. You're communicating to them what you do, how you do it, who the people you work with, while figuring out how to help them. The difference in both the information and influential zone is really uniquely different because one is to inform, which is your marketing to. The other one is to influence, which is your communicating to. A lot of people, I believe, and this is my assumption, is that they are more informing than influencing. Like, for example, like I have a workshop coming up in 2 weeks on strategic planning for 2026. And people say, hey, Arnel, just put an email out, get a bunch of people there. Well, let's be honest. We have a lot of emails. I mean, I get 30, 40 emails a day. And that's because I have 2 accounts and I just get emails every day. Depending on the subject line, depending on my mood, depending if I really need it. If I see this subject line, hey, you should come to this workshop. Great. So what I've decided to do is I'm actually calling people on the phone and say, hey, I have this workshop on strategic planning. It's going to help. I've run it every year. It helps people grow their business. I mean, do you plan? Are you open to it? Would you like to come? And, and most people say yes. Now, if I just send an email out, and then hope people come, they do if it gets their attention. But if I call them and ask them, then I increase my attendance or participation by 90%. So knowing the difference of influencing and informing people makes a big difference in how you develop relationships. I always believe that if you're influencing, you're communicating. If you're informing, you're marketing. Doesn't mean informing doesn't work, but it has very little return unless you're very consistent and you're spending money and you have the right marketing channel. That's why you have to have, digital marketing agency who really help you with that. I think it's not an easy figure out on your own. Influencing is face to face, calling on a phone, meeting, talking to people, figure out how to help them. And you have to know the difference if you're cultivating relations to become raving fans and advocates. Now, the whole thing about handwritten notes, there's handwritten notes that if you look at it, I just know I write handwritten notes often. And Michael calls it his power notes. And power notes are personal, optimistic, written, effective relation notes that help build relationships with clients and gets responses. He has a very specific process where when people gets when they get a power note, it stands out. It makes people feel good because it's all about them. And it's written, I'll give you an example. The envelope is a colored envelope. It's in blue ink. It's written, when you write on, it's slanted toward the left to the right. It has a PS. It's all about you. I mean, it is something that stands out. I usually, like I said earlier, I send out maybe 5 or 10. And I have to get special envelopes because it stands out. I have cards made from Moo, M-O-O. It's really high-end cards that really stand out. I remember many years ago, I had used these cards probably about 10 years ago. And I remember I was in I sent it a bunch of people, and one of these people I sent out to, she had, she was cleaning out her office and leaving what was she's doing in sales and go get a job. And she showed a picture of what she was taking with her. And she had my thank you card saved there and was using it as a bookmark. I was like, wow, I need to go back to that card. So I use Moo cards because their cards stand out. I mean, if you ever use Moo cards, very thick paper. I used, they have colored envelopes now and blue ink, and it's written when I use a PS on, I call it those little cards. I can't remember what the card's called, but so there's and the reason I say there's a specific way, because if you send out power notes, it makes people stand out. And then even if you don't use power notes, you have handwritten notes, it's very good. And the power notes, the big difference is you're not writing in any type of card that is more of a branded card. It's more branded toward what belief you have, And the other thing that, and that's part handwritten notes, it's phenomenal if you do that. If you study most successful people, they do write a lot of handwritten notes, and that's how they're able to win and stand people. The other thing that I like, he talks about is events, how to use events. So, he recommends you do 3 events to your top yap. Those their top up to 150 people who are loyal, who give you consistent referrals or at least committed to you. And some of them give you a lot of referrals, some give you some. But he says you do events for them specifically, and then you do events all yet for everyone else. It's for his system was 3 for top, 4 for everyone else. So you can customize that. But the events he would say is you host your own events, right? Consistently with people, develop them into that top yap. That top yap are really advocates and raving fans. They're loyal to you. They're willing to give you referrals. They have given you referrals, become clients. And everyone else that you meet and talk to, they haven't gotten there, but that's still good because there's 2 trains of thoughts about building your business through the communication plan. You can either build it just solely focusing on your top yap, which is up to 150 people, or take the top yap and all yap. And so you basically have people know who you are, but you have a small group of people up to 150 to give you referrals. So when you first start this out, you're going to look for that top 150, and that top 150, you're looking for up to 1 to 5 people. But doesn't mean you can't market or do events for everyone else, but you really want to focus on doing events for the people who really do help you, the ones who are committed to you, give you referrals. The cool thing about taking one-to-one meetings, he believes that you should meet with your top people, giving referrals. It could be once a quarter. It could be once, whatever. There's a frequency for you, so the relationship is beneficial, meaning that you're both brainstorming, helping ideas. Like my top referral source, we do a networking group together twice a month. We probably talk at least once a week. We're always figuring out ways to help each other. It's very beneficial, and I have several people that I'm looking toward that, because eventually you only need 3 or 4 relationships that you can give to give you a lot of business. Now, the whole thing about the communication pyramid, the key that you really want to understand that will change the game is understand Dunbar's number. Dunbar's number means you can only maintain a very good relationship up to 0 to 150 people. So that basically means is you have 1 to 5 as the inner circle. Those are people that literally are raving fans, spot opportunities, you're helping them. And it's not easy to find those people. I have one right now who's heavily active doing that. It's just phenomenal. We started a network group that works real well. Out of that 5, we have the outer circle, 6 to 15, and then the circle 6 to 50, and then 51 to 50. 51 to 150 are the rest. So I usually say the generosity network. That's why I call it's 150. But I'm always looking for the inner circle and the outer circle, because I really believe I don't need a lot of I don't need to have $3,000 in my $3,000 people or plus in my database. It'd be nice to be known, but really what I need to do is still maintain that number with little to no effort, right? But most importantly, looking to move people up to the 150 and take that 150 and move them into the circle, outer circle, inner circle. I'm moving people up to be a Raven fan and an ambassador, and people in that circle, because what I'm really looking for is looking for people who consistently can put me for the right opportunities. I'm looking for people who typically I can help too. So when you understand that number, when you're building your network, I call the generosity network, you're only looking for up to finding 150. And that 150, you may get all your business from 1 to 5 people. But doesn't mean the rest won't give you business. It just will be sometimes inconsistent, because even when you meet with them, some people don't give you referrals for like 36 months. Some people you meet in the inner circle, they just love connecting you. So it's an art and science, but it's at least a basis to follow. And then they talk about what happens after 150 to 500. Those are meaningful contacts and acquaintances. They know you. Then you may know 501 to 1500 people recognize them. Like if you go look at LinkedIn profile, like I have a couple of thousand people on my LinkedIn profile. I was looking at it recently, man, I don't remember those people. But if you have a Facebook of 5,000, if you have Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, you probably have people recognize you or recognize them. They just know you. They know of you, but you haven't really developed it. So that's okay. I mean, you can take those relationships and move them up to that 150. But remember, the ultimate goal is to use these activities to influence first, while combining the efforts to inform them, so you can figure out, and will they become Raven fans or ambassadors, and are they loyal to your business? Because here's the interesting thing is when I see people network and they're building these relationships, they can't tell me who is giving them consistent referrals. Their mindset is, Arnel, I just want to get in front of a lot of people so they all can give me referrals. I said, well, okay, I get it. Have you thought about this? Should you get in front of a group of maybe 100, 150 people, serve your niche, right? And figure out and develop activities through a communication plan that you can figure out who can give you those referrals on a consistent basis. Which relationships? So do you want a business of many or a business of one that can give you many? I said, he said, what do you mean? Do you want a business of many that may give you one, or do you want a business of one that give you many? So I want a business of one, because if I get that one to give me many, I get another one to give me many, I get another one. I don't want a business of many giving me just one. I want a business of one giving me many. So my first job is to find the first one to give me many. Then once I get that relationship, can I get the second one to give me many? Then once I have 2, can I get the third to give me many? And it's really, really hard. And I find that you have to find people who are connectors, who understand relationships, and who really want that. The challenging part that I find out is that most people are just networking, looking for clients versus they're looking to build a network. And then if they're looking to build a network, they don't know how to communicate to them to inform or influence. And they need to understand this communication pyramid so they can develop a process to develop Raven fans or ambassadors. If not, they're just going to be spinning their wheels, going to these networking events, and really and it's going to be sad, they're just going to be spinning their wheels, trying to look for business. Or like we're meeting that's happening. Well, who do you know how to take that relationship and cultivate it where it's a win-win? Most people don't know how to do that. Or one person can do that. Like I have people that, I can create opportunities for them, but then I have to go back and teach them how to create me opportunities because they're not connectors. They're not always comfortable, right? But they're willing to learn. It may take 3 to 6 months to get them to give introduction referrals, and then have some people who are really good at giving introductions referrals. So you want to spend time, meet with them, and that usually works out pretty well too. And the difference between a Raven fan, I say this all the time, they're very proactive. They will put you in front of people 100% of the time, and in turn, they are just always looking out for you, and in turn, they just like connecting people, and then you just have to figure out how to help them. I call the ambassadors are people who are loyal to you. When people ask you about you, they say, yeah, you need to use them. They're really good at what they do. They speak highly of you. And sometimes they'll go, hey, I have somebody who said they need someone, I connect you. But they're not going out there proactively. And a lot of times people, how do I get an ambassador to refer or introduce me? So you have to brainstorm. Ask them, hey, are you comfortable introducing me this? If not, don't worry about it. And if they are, hey, can we brainstorm? Here's some ideas. And sometimes those ideas, they pan out. Some of them don't. But remember, some of these ambassadors, if they're clients of yours, you don't want to push that, because if they feel awkward and if you're pushing them, then typically what happens is that they'll just ghost you or avoid you. The bottom line is really just understanding the communication pyramid allows you to figure out how do you communicate from a sense of influencing, informing, right? What activities that you need to do to develop relationships from people you first meet, to develop them and cultivate them and Raven fans or ambassadors, and then figure out which ones who are not interested. The biggest frustration, I think, for people who are networking, they don't have a framework or a model to work from, and they treat everyone the same, and they realize that not everyone's the same in reciprocity style, and the ones who you want to work with are not easy to identify unless you know how to identify them. And the ones who you think are helping you may not want to help you, but damn sure, here I tell you, they'll take your referrals, they'll take your introductions, but push comes to shove, if you don't know if they're willing to introduce you or refer you or willing to go through that process, they won't. But the beauty of this, when you understand the communication pyramid, you really understand that you can start seeing how you communicate to them, and you'll start seeing I call it the outcome. Because when you do these activities and you follow the process that Michael J. Maher created for the real estate agents that I tailored for my B2B space, you'll find out which people typically do reciprocate, which people typically learn how to reciprocate, which people are good at it, and which people are willing to learn about it, and which people just don't want to do it. And you still help them, but you don't expect anything in return. That's the hardest thing in developing a network, is how do I know objectively if the person wants to help me or not versus subjectively. The communication pyramid gives you the activities on influencing, informing, and helps you determine. And there's a process to cultivate those relationships so you can get those Raven fans. If you don't understand this concept, then you're networking and you're looking to build relationships with mutual beneficial other businesses. They're not conflict with you. You won't be able to develop a consistent flow of referrals. You won't be able to tell if the person is just taking advantage of you, or you may not know how to move that relationship forward, and you'll start seeing introduction referrals not come your way. And if you are a giver like me, you'll keep giving, thinking, I'll just keep giving more, keep giving more. They'll give me more. No, not really. It's interesting. The best givers that I've noticed don't tell you they're giving. They just love giving, right? And the best people who are really good in giving and teaching people to give back, They're strategic givers. They're very good at doing that. They make very good connections, but they also, hey, can I teach you how to help me, this and that? And if you say no, this, okay, great. Hey, let me know. We'll move on, and we'll still be friends. But the idea is they have a process, but you can recognize them. I look for them all the time, and I look for them. I figure who they are. It's amazing. And once I'm able to figure out how to help them, I ask them, can I teach you how to help them? And most of them do, and some of them have great relationships, some don't. But if you don't have that process, what you'll figure out, you will literally just struggle in getting business. So my recommendation is that, pick up the book, 7 Levels of Communication, Michael Maher. The communication pyramid is something that if you're interested, you can always reach out to me. I can send it out to you. But it's the best way for you to really figure out what activities will you need to influence or inform so you can get business that'll help you out. Hope that was helpful. Thanks for your time. Thank you. All right. Oops.